Okay, we are live. Yay. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Barbara Provo with Purse Strings. I'm the founder of Purse Strings, where we provide women free online tools and resources to make smart financial decisions for themselves, for their families, and for their businesses. And then they would always say to me, okay, Barb, who can I work with? Who can I trust? So we've gathered together. We look across the internet, through LinkedIn, lots of different organizations that we network with to find the best financial professionals who really want to focus on serving a female market. And today we have Carrie Williams. Carrie is one of our Purse Strings approved professionals. And we are talking about small biz this month at Purse Strings. And so we're so excited to have Carrie with us because she's going to help us kind of dig into the numbers and unpack the numbers. And what's interesting about women in business, or anyone in business really, is you go into business because you love to be a dentist, or you love to sell clothes, or you love to do hair, you love manufacturing, whatever it is, but that's your love. And the numbers that you have to pay attention to is not always your strength. So you really need to make sure you're aligned with the right financial professionals that set you on the right road. Because that's the foundation of your business. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But Carrie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business, Seashore Numbers.
Well, so my name's Carrie. I live in New Jersey. I'm born and raised a beach girl, so sand in my shoes for sure. I own a bookkeeping business. It's called Seashore Numbers. Yes, it's a play on the seashore. But, we help business owners to increase their profit. And there could be multiple ways to do that. So we provide great bookkeeping, which provides great solid data and numbers so that we can then figure out a great plan to help you to increase your profit. By increasing your profit, that's a great way to grow your business, is to figure out how to do that in the best way for you.
Awesome. Well, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So we teed up a few questions, Carrie, and I'm going to just start out with the first one. As a small business works on growth, what information should they be focusing on when they look at their financial statements?
So, of course, everyone's familiar with the big two, right? You've got your profits and loss statement, sometimes called your income statement, and you've got your balance sheet. They actually work together. Your balance sheet would be the first one thing you're going to want to look at, because that's where we're going to see all of your bank account balances and all of your credit card balances and or loan balances that you have outstanding. At the very bottom, the bottom line is what they call net income or profit, or depending on how your balance sheet is set up. That line will correspond directly to your income statement. Your income statement is basically an explosion of that line. So we've got to look at that balance sheet first to make sure that the balances that we're showing, mainly in the checking, savings, and on the credit cards, match what the bank is telling us. We call that reconciling. So that needs to happen every month, where the bottom line on my bank statement or my credit card statement has to match to the penny the bottom line on my line item on my balance sheet. The next thing we're going to go over and look at is we're going to look at profit, which I can see in net income, but I'm also going to look at my net income, which is income after I take out the cost of producing my product. Mm-hmm. And then after at the bottom, my expenses. And most of those expenses that I'm seeing, or that we like to see, are overhead expenses, right? Mm-hmm. And so we take those numbers and we subtract them. That gives us our net income, or what's left over at the end of the month. So those are the most important things on the reports to look at. What's left over, and do my balances on my balance sheet match to what the actual institutions are telling me.
And that's on a monthly basis.
Yep. You can do it quarterly, depending on the size of your business. We tend to work with our clients on a month-to-month basis. We can produce reports that are quarterly, and we can do comparison reports. We can do all kinds of really neat things so you can see what's going on. But I would say monthly for a business, that would probably be the best, if not quarterly.
Got it. Okay. Good place to start. So, do you provide insight on how much debt a small business should take?
We do, and we can. That's usually part of a bigger conversation as to the why behind wanting to take on the debt. And that conversation has changed since the pandemic.
Ah,
That conversation during pandemic was just all over the place
yeah,
because everything was just so up in an uproar. Thankfully, many of our clients, we didn't have to have a big panic conversation. We just had a conversation about how to employ what was already set into place. So our clients that work with us on an ongoing basis, we like to have them follow the profit first method. And so they had money set aside, or they had a line of credit or a credit card already ready to go in case of an emergency. We always like to have that set up.
got it.
So that made it super simple. And there was no panicking. Most of our clients did not need a PPP loan. Most of our clients did not need the
Wow.
EIDL loan because we had that set up and they're used to it and they were not surprised by the problem.
Got it.
Right. So, and that's something we also teach. When there will be a problem, just when is it going to happen?
Yeah. Just like for your own personal, it's not if, it's when. You need your emergency fund set up.
Absolutely.
So
Correct.
you just need to be prepared.
Right. So the other thing we do like to tell our clients is if we're having a great year and our numbers, our profit is up, if our revenue is up, the time to get that lending piece, whether it be a loan, whether it be a line of credit, whether it be a business credit card, the time to get it is when you don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the other thing that we look at in our meeting. Is this a good time? Have I been in business long enough? Are my numbers strong enough? Is this the time for me to go and get that, apply for that credit card, right? And set that all up, because then I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
If I have it, if something comes up on the negative side, but also if an opportunity comes up on the positive side, where I have an opportunity for a growth opportunity or an opportunity to pivot in a different direction, right? Or add something onto my current product line. So that's kind of how we work with it. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's terrific. I mean, it is about when things are going really well, what else, right? What else do we need to consider or look at or plan for? So excellent. Yeah. So we all know though, Carrie, right? You need to spend money to make money. So what metrics do you look at to really know if you're growing or if you can grow more?
That's a great question. There is something that the industry lingo uses called a KPI, a key performance indicator.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a numerical, mathematical program or function or rules that you put in place, or a number or a gauge that your industry has as to, are you keeping up with what the rest of the industry is? And remember, it's always on a bell curve, right? So I want to be, what is the middle of my industry, most people doing? And those metrics can change depending on the industry. Those metrics may not have anything to do with money. That metric may be, if I'm an e-commerce seller, how often, or what is my metric about how often did my site go down? It could be a metric based on what is my customer retention. It could be based on like a course creator, right? What is my client upsell ratio? So there don't necessarily have to be a monetary number, right? Depending on what you want to track in your business.
Right. So like operational metrics that talk about pointing you towards your successes.
Right. And operational is a great one. A lot of places have they have monetary KPIs that they're tracking, or I like to use metrics, even though KPI is the big thing, because a metric is more, I think it's a better word that we're looking at. And a metric can be in the form of a percentage.
Yeah.
It can be in the form of, fractional, right?
Yeah.
Depending on what you're looking at and how you want to look at it. I think the biggest one that I think is underused is margin.
Mm.
profit margin, right? Here's what came in, here's what I spent. This gap in between is that margin.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a small margin, I don't have a lot of room for error. I don't have a
Right.
lot of room for movement. The larger
Right.
I can make my margin, whether I'm increasing sales or I'm decreasing expenses or a combination, the stronger my business is, because I have all that play in between to make changes and try out different things to see, so we like margin, and
Yeah.
it's not talked about enough, I don't think.
Interesting. Huh. Good to know. Um, I do like that. You're right. I mean, we do talk about percentages. We talk about growth rate. We talk about, I like the margin idea because, you hear people say, oh, we have slim margins or things like that. It's, what's the difference between the two? So excellent. And I know, Carrie, you work with a lot of small businesses. And the stats are for women, 1,800 women every day in America open a business. It's huge, right?
It is huge.
It's huge. And we know, though, you need to invest in a lot of things before you open a business, right? Whatever that business is. And so, what do you see in terms of small business loans, the lending, how much people take, how they get the loan? What kind of background and information? And then, how do they pay it off if they're just starting out?
Right. I think a lot of that is, if we go back even a little further, when we are getting ready to open our business, I think we need to really hone in on, do I need all the bells and whistles to just when I start out, right? I think we get distracted with what we measure as success. I have to have an office, I have to an outside office, I have to have a brick and mortar, I have to have this, I have to have that. I've seen people spend thousands of dollars on a website that doesn't drive any traffic to their business. It could have done a one-page single, landing page that cost them $30 a month on Squarespace, and they build it themselves and they're doing great.
Yeah,
So,
interesting.
I think so. It's so funny because I just did a class at my local library on how to start a side hustle. And this was a big question that people had. How much does it take me to start my business? I literally started my business with $150. That's all I had in 2014. So it's very doable. I would say if you can be online and don't need all that brick and mortar and don't need all that, then you're better off. So just start, number one, as simple as you can. There's so much free out there, whether it be applications, bank accounts, software, advertising, to do it, as least expensive as you can, because that also lets you test the waters.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And to pivot. And we love that. That's a big thing, right? Being able to pivot quickly.
Yeah.
So SBA is interesting. They do check your credit personally. They are going to go back and look at your personal balance sheet.
Yeah.
They're going to ask you to sign over your left kidney, basically.
Yeah, you have to personally back it up. Yeah.
Yep, you're personally going to back it up. And in some cases, I've seen them want to put a lien on people's personal homes and personal assets. And so it's not necessarily the best way to go. It is and it isn't. We try to help people to not have to do that, not have to take a loan, not even have to spend a ton of time on and that's the other thing. They want a comprehensive business plan. Like I'm talking something you've spent hours on.
Yeah.
So, our attitude is stick and move. Let's just see what works. Let's test this out. Let's put the feelers out there. And then if it's not working exactly as it is, I can quickly make a change and pivot to something else. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, women business owners, we know that's our whole life is about that, right?
Yeah,
you're balancing. Oh my goodness. I don't know about you, but when we're done here, I'm running to my dad's house to help him with something. And, you're all over the place. So our attitude, I think, and our philosophy might be a little different than what the traditional start a business is.
Okay.
Right. We just don't necessarily align well with I have to put up $50,000 to start my business, but it also is going to depend on what your state requires, right? Like there's cottage industry law and things like that. So, and I think the other thing is, I think we get trapped into thinking that we have to keep going on this path that we're on, whether or not it's working. We're too quick. Sometimes we're too quick to quit, but sometimes we're not quick enough to shift gears. So, like I said, we don't want you to go into debt if you don't have to spend money to make money. Not necessarily. I don't necessarily agree with that statement either, but it just depends on who you are. So and what you're trying to start. So
the kind of business that but I like how you're looking at it from a more frugal point of view, where you don't need to go all in right out of the gate, where you can really just take baby steps and try things, try and pivot, because what you initially start out as doing is not typically what you end up doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can absolutely say that 100,000%.
Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced that and see it in a lot of your clients as well.
Yeah, we do. But that's great attitude. And that's an entrepreneurial mindset, right? Just being able to see that opportunity and just jump on it when it's there. Yeah. But I think that also skews the data that the government puts out, and like the failure rates and stuff. A lot of times I'm like, they didn't fail. They just pivoted and went a different direction. Yeah. So, if you have that mindset as a business owner, especially as a woman, you're constantly coming up with creative solutions for things. So pivoting and taking advantage of something that you see in the marketplace is just something we're really good at.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I agree. Right. We know how to move quickly and adjust accordingly. Right.
Right. So if you do want to get a loan, I mean, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can go with friends and family, not recommended. Yeah. You can take a loan out. That if you have a home, you could do a home equity line of credit. Yeah. Right? That's a giant credit card on the equity in your house. You could borrow from yourself, basically. Yeah. You could go to a bank and go the traditional route. You could go to a private, like a angel investor, find someone like that you could get you could look for a grant. There's all kinds of grant money for women-owned businesses. Go check your state websites and see what kind of meetup groups and things you can find for that. I mean, the last thing I would tell you is to take out those big traditional loans through the SBA. Yeah. So, be careful and cautious on those big investments if you don't need to, right? So yeah.
Makes sense, right? You just have to know what your risk and reward is, and your risk tolerance and all of that. So this has been great. Carrie, what other tips or tricks or information would you like to share before we wrap up here?
I think one of the things I like to tell everyone is, if you're planning on going into business and you want to DIY your bookkeeping, that's awesome. Do that, because it's going to save you money. However, have one of us, someone like myself or another bookkeeping professional, set you up correctly and give you a little bit of training, so that you don't wind up making having data that's incorrect or that is off, which then affects how much you're going to pay in your taxes. So spend that little bit of money, look at it as an investment to get yourself set up correctly right from the beginning. And so that would be a big thing I would say for people to do, and to definitely keep your money separate, your business money and your personal monies. Definitely separate those.
We talk about that a lot. Too many people just think, well, it's all my money. But you should not commingle.
No, definitely not. Keep it all separate, even the way you collect money. So don't have a personal don't use your personal PayPal for your business. Open that business PayPal account, right?
Right.
So just keep it super separate. That's what we tell people to do. Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Carrie, for all your insights and your wisdom. As I said at the beginning, Carrie is one of our Purse Strings approved professionals. You can find her at the Purse Strings site, pursestrings.co, or also at hello@C Sure Numbers. That's hard to say. You can reach out to her directly there. hello@csurenumbers.com, which has been going along the bottom of the screen. So this has been a wealth of information. Thank you for sharing it for all women who are out there, doing the day-to-day hard work and growing your businesses. We're here rooting you on. If you have any questions, have any financial needs, go ahead and reach out to us at Purse Strings. We can help you out. Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks for having me, Barb. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.